my guess is you probably have caught yourself thinking something like, I could seriously use a break. I need something to look forward to in order to get me through this really hard time. And maybe you've heard somebody talk about points and miles and you've thought to yourself, that sounds really interesting. I just do not have the capacity to learn that. It is really confusing. That's definitely what I thought when I heard about this the first time. But there was also something in me that was like, but I think it might actually be worth my time if I could somehow figure it out. I know that if you start to go online, you're going to open articles and try to read them and be like, what the heck are they talking about? There's a lot of jargon in the points and miles space. One of my big goals in being here on YouTube is to make this accessible for you. I know that as a widow, you don't have time to figure this out on your own. You don't have the capacity to learn all the little details. I didn't either. I just needed somebody to distill it for me and break it down. I found somebody who could teach me the basics, and I want to be the person to do that for you. So one of the big questions that I think comes up for people is that they think they don't spend enough money to actually make this a worthwhile hobby. Now, let me just get this straight right off the bat. Most likely you do. Almost every single widow I talk to at the beginning is like, yeah, I don't know if I spend enough to actually get free travel out of this, because everyone has this strange misconception that you have to spend a ton of money in order to earn a lot of points, but that's actually not how it works, thank goodness. There's actually a pretty clear system to figure out if you are able to engage in it or not, and I'm gonna break that down for you today in a very clear, simple way. I'm gonna give you a red light, yellow light, green light system where you can take a quick look at your finances and know what's actually possible for you. And all of this is going to be based on the money that you already spend. We're not talking about big spends that you aren't expecting or asking you to spend more money than you would on a normal daily basis. We're just talking about gas, utilities, bills, activities, clothes, just whatever the normal things are you spend. Can you take that and make it work for you in a way that's going to actually earn you free travel? Spoiler alert, yes, you can most likely. So that's thrilling. So if you watch this video and you end up thinking to yourself, okay, I spent enough money to get free travel out of this, then I would absolutely love to work with you. Let's book a travel clarity call. I meet with fellow widows who have some goal or dream of traveling. Sometimes it's just road trips. Sometimes it's something domestically. Sometimes it's going on a safari in Africa. We talk about your dreams, and then I explain to you kind of how I can help get you there. So the link to book a call with me is down below. No pressure, just a conversation about what's possible and what will actually fit your lifestyle. So let's start with the most truthful thing that I can tell you about points and miles. When it works, it is mind-blowingly amazing, where you kind of feel like you want to tell everybody about it because it feels too good to be true. But there is this other side that can feel really stressful if you don't know what you're doing and you do it wrong. So we are not doing optimize, best card, follow the shiny penny kind of points and miles here. We're just doing simple, clear plan so you know exactly what to do and when to do it and how. So today, since we're talking about the real math of if this can actually work for your life, let's look at that stoplight system. The first step in doing this is just to figure out what is your actual monthly spend. Obviously, we don't all spend the same thing from month to month, but if you go into your bank's account system and you check what your spending is, you'll get some sense of about how much you spend a month. So what I want you to do is look at your expenses, taking out housing and insurance payments and any other large expenses that might not be able to be put on a credit card that might just be pulled directly out of your account. We're not going to count those because in this hobby, we're talking about only expenses that can be directly put onto a credit card. So think groceries, bills, gas, kids' activities, your activities, clothing expenses, dining out, Amazon, basic home goods, you get the idea. Any of those things that come together that you could put on a credit card. Now, there's also this other little fact which I found very hopeful when it comes to this last year, which is that the average family home of a single parent with 2 children is spending well over $2,000 a month on expenses alone. So most likely you're spending enough to not just dabble in this hobby, but get some real serious benefits out of it. If after you take a look at your expenses, which I again encourage you to pause the video and do right now, come back, and if you are spending over $1,400, game on, we can go. So if that is you, there is kind of this I don't know if fun is the right word, but there's this thing I'm sure you can relate where you're spending money. Let's say you need to get your oil changed on a car, right? That is just obnoxious money to spend. You're like, I do not want to spend almost $100 to get my oil changed on a car. It just feels icky on the inside. But when you start engaging with this hobby, those icky feelings that you have about spending money that you have to spend anyway, they start becoming sort of exciting because you know you're going to be working towards free travel. So now when I sign my kids up for summer camp and it is an annoyingly large amount of money, yes, I feel like, oof, that was a lot. But then I'm also like, but also I just earned a ton of points by doing it. So there is this kind of fun shift that gets to happen. And like we have enough stress in our lives as widows that if we can make spending a little better, not more fun, not like grief spending, not go buy stuff to make yourself feel better, but like the crap that I have to already spend anyway, if I can make that feel better for me, yes, sign me up, please. The other thing, and then we'll get into the system, is just I know that spending money can feel heavy during grief and when you are the only income earner and when you feel like you really need to be responsible. None of us want to be frivolous with our money. Most of us are thinking about a future where the money we currently have is what we need to live off of. You need to be responsible. So it is really exciting when you think about, I can just spend that same amount of money and now travel comes as a side benefit that I don't have to spend more money into. That's very cool. And just one more time, if you're just sitting here and you're thinking, even this feels like a little bit too much, I would love all the benefits of this hobby, but I don't really want to like watch your YouTube videos and figure it out on my own. That's totally fair. And that is why I do these travel clarity calls. So if you book a call with me, then we will go through it all together and I will explain exactly how I can make it less daunting and basically give you all the step-by-steps to just get you to the end line. The second step in figuring out if this is a possibility for you is just figuring out if that monthly spend that you just figured out, is that consistent over a course of 3 months? Because most of the travel credit cards that I recommend and that all of us that kind of play this game utilize are looking at spending a certain amount of money over the course of 3 months. Sometimes they'll give you 6 months. So if you're spending $1,400 a month, that's $4,200 over the course of 3 months. And that will help you meet the minimum spend of several different cards. So are you able to consistently spend over the course of 3 months over $1,400? The first card I signed up for whatever reason, I just like didn't check my actual budget. I was just like, I think I want to do this and I think I'm capable, but I didn't really know what I was doing and I didn't check the math. Thankfully it worked out. But I also kind of freaked out internally because I was like, oh my gosh, I have to spend $4,000 over the course of 3 months. I don't know if I can do that. And I didn't realize I was actually spending quite a bit of money already. But I had this panic and then I felt like I had to spend a bunch of money that I might not normally spend at the beginning to make sure I got my points. So I want to prevent you from doing that now. Just know your numbers. It doesn't take very long to figure out. And then you can go in with a calm perspective on it and not feel like you're in a race or in a rush to spend more than you actually have to. This is a really important part of the plan, actually, to make sure that you're not adding additional stress to your life, that you're just like, I am confident I will spend this amount of money in my regular everyday, and then we can move forward. And if you've watched this far and you've checked your balance and you're thinking, yeah, I actually don't spend $1,400 a month, I cannot consistently for 3 months do that. First of all, huge congratulations, because in order to do that, you have to be very responsible with your finances, and just kudos for that. But the other thing is that doesn't mean that you can't get benefits from what you are spending. I will make another video in the coming weeks where I will also talk about the benefits of a cashback card. And if that's you and that's your situation, then cashback really is a good option for you. Then maybe sometime down the line in the future, if you do end up spending more or having an increased spend, then you can talk about travel rewards. And that would be a really responsible thing to do. As you are rebuilding in widowhood, you need to do something that's stable. And if getting cash back is what you need right now, then that is a great route to take. Okay, so step 3 is to actually take a look at the stoplight feature. So we're talking red light, maybe stop thinking about travel rewards and think more about cashback. Yellow light is, yes, let's engage, but at a pretty basic level. And then green light is, yeah, I can engage in this and maybe go to the next level where I'm able to earn a larger sum of points based on my regular everyday spending. So the red light rule is if you're spending under $1,400 a month. And if that's the case, I want you to be really cautious with annual fees and minimum spends. There are cards that have very low annual fees, like $95, but $95 is still almost $100, and every dollar adds up. So we don't want to spend $95 on something if you're not going to actually reap the rewards from it. The other thing is, if a card has a minimum spend over $4,000 and you're not able to meet it, you won't actually get the benefits from that $95 annual fee. So it's a good idea to backtrack a little and take a look at those cashback cards. cards. If that's you, and that is totally fine, this is a great way to engage with credit cards where you can just get your cash back, you keep it really nice and clean before you jump into points and miles, which can add just a little bit more friction when it comes to how you're rewarded for the spend. The yellow light is for those of you spending between $1,400 and $1,700 a month. If that is your monthly spend, that's a really solid range for starting in this hobby, because many of the beginner cards are just asking for a $4,000 spend over the course of 3 months. And that looks like about $1,333 a month to hit $4,000 for 3 months. So those cards are excellent because when you get those cards, they have pretty low annual fees, like $95. Their minimum spend is right within your range, and they still come with some seriously wonderful travel rewards. The plan is to get a card, to hit your minimum spend over the course of those 3 months, to earn your rewards, and then every 90 days or so, you can then turn around and apply for another card. Now, I know most of you are thinking, I don't want to rack up a ton of credit cards and have a bunch in my wallet. When do I cancel them? Do I cancel them? That's actually for another video at another time, and I promise we will talk about that eventually, but you don't even need to think about canceling cards for an entire year. So you have time to learn these things and figure them out as we go. And obviously, I'm here. That's why I support people through this, because there are questions that come up that it's nice to have support for. But if you do apply for one card every 90 days, that would be 4 cards over the course of a year. And in doing so, you can actually earn hundreds of thousands of points for travel, which provides kind of a crazy amount of free travel. So this is really good for those of you who are interested in not having to pay for every airplane ticket or every hotel room, but don't want points and miles to become a second job. Not that it ever has to become a second job, but at some point it becomes very exciting and it's kind of compelling to learn a lot more about it. So this, I would say, is for the mid-tier points and miles person. Maybe you're really interested in traveling domestically or paying for travel sports weekend hotels, or interested in visiting friends in the US, or somebody who is looking to book one big trip a year. This is kind of a perfect level for you. Now, moving on to the green light, if you are somebody who is spending over $1,700 a month, which again, I think is actually probably most of you, then you can engage with this hobby kind of at any level you want to. And the capacity or the appetite for credit cards is really up to you, because almost every credit card that's available across the spectrum fits within this budget. There are a few outliers, business cards that are actually for people who are running businesses that deal in retail or items that will have something like a $20,000 or $30,000 minimum spend. Those aren't necessarily for you unless you actually do have a business like that, and then we should talk, because you shouldn't be spending that amount of money without getting something great out of it. But for the regular person who's not a business owner, there are many, many, many cards in which you can engage when you're spending at least $1,700 a month. And not only that, but those 4 cards we talked about in the yellow light path, where you can do 1 card every 90 days, well, now you can also sprinkle in some business cards, and you don't actually even have to be a business owner in order to get business cards. Again, I will talk about that in another video, but there are lots of ways where you can earn more frequently and larger sums of points and take more frequent or fancier travel if you are spending at least $1,700 a month. The other thing is, most of these cards have higher annual fees, but the benefits are actually really quite amazing. And so when you get into a conversation about, does it make sense for me to have multiple credit cards with annual fees, and then we weigh the benefits of having those cards, I mean, when we're looking at a scale, the benefits seriously outweigh the annual fees almost every time. I want to just say one last thing about the actual money involved with getting credit cards, because this is really important and I don't want there ever to be confusion around this topic. It is only beneficial to you to engage with points and miles credit cards if you are paying your card off in full every month. If you're not and you're carrying a balance, the interest rates on these cards is absolutely ridiculous. We're talking 25%. So if you ever carry a balance on your credit card, you can just start assuming you're paying 25% more for every single thing you buy, because that's what happens if you don't pay the card off in full. And now any benefits that you have earned from spending when it comes to travel rewards are completely nullified if you're paying all this money in interest. I know it's compelling to travel for free, even if you're bad at using the credit cards, but let me just please plead with you to only engage in this hobby if you can fully pay off your credit card in full every single month. And if that's a new concept for you or you've never been able to do that, then it's a really good idea to start with a cashback card with a 0 annual fee and a low interest rate and just practice spending a little bit and paying it off, spending a little bit and paying it off. That will help build your credit score, and it will build your confidence in yourself that you can be trusted to only spend what you can actually afford. I want to talk about why this matters for a second, because I know that you're carrying a lot. Having something on the calendar and knowing that it's something that you don't have to feel guilty about when it comes to spending money or outspending what you can actually afford provides a sense of relief that I still can't exactly articulate, even though I do this for my job. There is something renewing and revitalizing about traveling. Whether that's to the next town over or to the other side of the world, you are able to step away from the everyday pulls of widowhood, and I think we just need that, to be honest with you. I know it's really hard for the rest of the world to understand this, and sometimes that brings up other types of guilt, like how are you going to explain it to people? But as a fellow widow, I know that you will hear me when I say you need time to just breathe. Maybe it's sitting on the beach, maybe it's climbing a mountain, maybe it's riding a boat across some river in the middle of Africa. Whatever it is, it's gonna give you a little extra life so that when you come back home, which is gonna also be a little hard, you have a little spark to carry you through to the next thing. Obviously, I've made my business out of this, and this is why it's important to me. I know what it did for me. Traveling genuinely helped me heal in such a deep way, and it continues to even almost 6 years later. And I love the fact so many other women have trusted me to work with them to help make this a reality for their lives as well, and they are seriously reaping the benefits. And if you want help, then book that travel clarity call with me and I will talk you through the whole process. It's not just about traveling, it's about rebuilding a life that you can be proud of, that will add some joy as you continue to wrestle with the difficulty of having lost your person. As always, if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. You can like and subscribe if you felt like this was helpful, or share with a friend who you think might also benefit from what we're talking about here on this channel. All right, everyone, have a good week.